Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben, and I use he, him pronouns. I serve as one of your Board of Trustee members, and I'm happy to welcome all of you on Zoom and in the sanctuary to the Tahoma Unitarian Universalist congregation. Unitarian Universalists are a community of people who hold many beliefs, many origins, identities, sexualities, and genders. We uphold and celebrate the inherent dignity of every person, which means you are welcome here just the way you are. Love is the power that holds us together, and as we gather in community to seek life's deeper meanings and to celebrate the diversity of all living things. We are all growing, all learning from one another. If you are here for the first time, we bid you a special welcome. After the service, I will be in the sanctuary right over in the back by the painting back there to answer any questions you may have about Unitarian Universalism or our congregation. Or if you have questions about how to become involved in our community, just ask. I also encourage you to explore our website, tahomauu.com. At the website, you can sign up for the weekly e-news that includes information about the important and fun events going on in the congregational life and how you can participate. One of those important and fun events is the annual camping trip, which is going to happen in August, and Dave Pettit is going to come and talk to us a bit about it.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm getting really excited if you haven't noticed. This annual camping trip is going to be the fourth weekend of August. That's like the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to be camping at Volunteer Park in the town of Bucota, which is down in the Centralia Chehalis neighborhood. I've looked at the commute times after work on Fridays. It's about an hour and 15 to an hour and 30 minutes from here. A couple of different routes. There'll be more information about that later. The park is got 16 campsites, and we will have the campground to ourselves. It's going to be a special event. Nobody else is going to be there. About half of those campsites have RV hookups, so there's electric and water available. There are restrooms. No showers, but you know, we can all go a couple of days with just the wipe down once in a while, right? Lots to do. Again, it's right on the banks of the Skookumchuck River, so there will be some of us that are fishing. There will be some of us that are going to go into town and find out what the little town of Bucota is all about. There are some of us just going to be hanging around the camp and socializing. But if that's not enough, I have it on good authority that the Washington State Garlic Festival will be taking place the same weekend in Centralia, which is about 10 minutes away from the campground. So be watching your e-news for more information. Some of the high points here: tents are $10 a night. RVs with hookups are $20 a night. It's kind of important. We've got to pay for these campsites and a deposit ahead of time. We have a few weeks, but please send me an email. I've got my email address in the e-news, and you can get it from me after the service today too. I can't remember everybody that says, yeah, I'm interested, but if you send me an email, I'm creating a mailing list that this kind of stuff will go out specifically to. Got any questions? Talk to me after the service. Thank you.
I wasn't sure until I heard about the Garlic Festival. Also in August, we are having social events. Various members are hosting social events. There are sign-up sheets in the hallway in the back, right next to Sean's office, the admin's office. I think there's 3 signups right now. There might be more. I only saw the 3. I will also just generally mention that we also keep a copy of our bylaws back there in case anybody is really dying to read the bylaws of the church. I know that that is a topic that you are all very excited about. The other thing I wanted to mention is that as part of our cost-saving measures, we are transitioning to Google for nonprofits. I think this may have been mentioned briefly at one point. We will be changing who manages the domain for Tahoma.com and .org and TahomaUU.com and .org and all the other domains that we control. That is going to happen this coming long weekend, the July 4th weekend. In theory, this will be perfectly invisible to everyone outside of the tech team because it will go perfectly smoothly first try and there will be no disruptions of any kind. Hypothetically, if there is a tech issue, which we all know would never happen with Google and GoDaddy playing nicely together, there could be a disruption in the email addresses for those who have Tahoma UU email addresses. So if you send an email and it bounces, or if you send an email and there's just silence this coming weekend, it's not that we don't care. It's that there might be something going wrong. We will have a definite announcement by Monday or Tuesday when it is done. And hopefully there won't be any disruptions. But if you get a bad email address or if the website is being weird this weekend, please know that we know about that. That may be a consequence of our transition. And we will let you know as soon as we get that completely sorted out. All right. You're also invited to join us for a social hour right immediately following the service over there by the windows. For those of you who are newer to our community, we have red coffee mugs that will encourage us to come and talk to you and introduce ourselves. If you don't want us to do that, grab a white one and we'll only talk to you the normal amount. If there is someone who would benefit from a large print hymnal or hearing assistance device, they are available at the back of the sanctuary. As we begin our service in this beautiful place called the Homa by local indigenous tribes and nations, I acknowledge that we meet today on the land of the Coast Salish people, including the Puyallup tribal nation, land from which they were forcibly displaced. I honor the resiliency of indigenous people and stand with them as they continue to fight for their culture, land, water, visibility, sovereignty, and their very existence. Lastly, please set your electronic devices to worship mode. Let us exhale deeply and settle ourselves into this holy moment of sharing and receiving. And now let us join together in worship.
Thank you, Marianne. I believe that was the long and winding road. So we have a lot of new people out there today. So whatever long and winding road got you here, we are very glad to see you. So I'm the Reverend Margo Reinhart. I'm the minister here at the Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I am your minister. I missed being here last Sunday, so it's good to see you again this morning. I'm aware that what you were doing last Sunday, because that was shortly after President gave orders to bomb Iran. So I would imagine you were turning over those actions in your minds, and that this is a place we can come to support one another as we wade through those tasks of perspective taking and meaning making. And it is great to arrive just the way you are, tired, joyful, scared, rested, confused. Welcome here and welcome home, however you show up. Today, I have opening words from the activist and author Adrienne Marie Brown. And I think it helps you to know she's a person of color. So these words will land slightly different when you know that. She says, I am learning that getting well in community is liberation. We are interdependent. When one of us attains freedom, it rekindles that longing in all of us. When we learn to feel, when we learn to stand with each other in feelings, when we learn to tune into our own self-wisdom, to love ourselves, to love each other, we are doing the unthinkable. We are creating new worlds of possibility. It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And our celebrant is Patty.
Good morning. My name's Patty McPhee, and I will be your celebrant this morning. This morning, Janie is going to be lighting our chalice for us and doing what she does best, which is picking up the loose ends. And if you could join me in the chalice lighting words when they come up. They should any minute. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and the holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who've gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. And now we're going to have a little excitement. Lauren's going to come up and help us to sing around. And no, that's right. If I actually read this, it would be better. 1007. This is one of my favorites. There is a river flowing in my soul.
To work up to the There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river all sound pretty good today. So it is now time for the kids and I to tell you a story. It's a story for all of us. And I have no book this morning. However, I have some things. I have some things we're going to put together that go with the story, and that is the perfect drawing. Can you hold that up so the adults can see it? Ah, but can you hold? Okay. Alana made this. Alana's still down here. Evelyn's holding it up. So we're going to talk about making a planet in the cosmos. Because the adults are talking about freedom and liberation. So this is a story called A Little Labeled Freedom by Cynthia Johnson. So Cynthia tells us a long time ago, long time ago, but in this galaxy, not too far away, there was a creator who had a hobby of making planets. She took a lot of pride in making these planets. She made every one of them different. So when she was going to make a planet, she would go over to her cupboard, like those cupboards over there, and she would take out a jar. And she had all sorts of little envelopes in her cupboard. So she'd have her jar. And when she would take an envelope to make the planet, she would put in a pinch of this and a pinch of that. In went some daffodils and some puppies and some pizza. They were ladybugs, there were butterflies, and she put in some fire ants just to make it kind of exciting. Then she poured in some more liquid. Could somebody do this for me? But I'm going to let Charles do this, and don't fill the jar totally to the top, or we won't be able to get the other stuff in. Don't want to come out. In the sermon later, this bottle will. Great. So she would put a little water for waterfalls and for clear lakes. We'll put in the ocean water later. Then she would put in some human beings. So that's where we're gonna have to pretend. Then she would put in something she called changes so that people would be different sizes, they would have different skin color, they would have different kinds of hair, and she really wanted people to have very different noses. She would also put in things that I got my envelope. Oh no. So that one doesn't last. This one is the smell good envelope. It's lavender. Okay, who's gonna put it in? Oh, Alana's gonna put it in. I'll have to do the water. It's okay. If things get spilled on the floor, don't worry. It's okay. It's all vacuumable. So she put in some smells, and then she put in some, goodness, what else have we got in here? I'm gonna let you guys look. Colors, we have to, wait, start colors. We have, we have sounds. I'm gonna have Mackenzie do some sounds. I'm not sure yet, so you can put them in. I am going to let you do the really fun part at the end. So you have to just be patient. So she also put in some emotions like happiness and loneliness. And then she put in this special thing called freedom. So freedom is another thing that we don't really have a compound for. So we're just going to have to pretend that we're popping in freedom. Because she wanted her human beings to have freedom to make decisions about things. I like that. So there was some fine print on the side of the envelope that said freedom. And she thought, let's put in a double dose for the humans. We're just going to put in a double dose. So everything went into the big jar. All right, I promise you. Here's the cream from the- Out of the envelope. I think everyone can give it a shake. I think you can just pass it down. But what I want you to be really careful about is not hitting the person next to you with the jar, right? So give it a little shake and see if you can make it a little bluer. Woof. Yeah, it's the color of Charles's shirt. Okay, Bella, your turn to give it a shake. There you go. And pass it on. Pass it on. So everybody gets a turn. Oh, good job. Okay. Mackenzie's gonna give it a shake. And can you put it up on that table right there? Anywhere on the table's fine. And when you guys come back from class today, you can see how much bluer it's gotten. So the creator puts all these special things in this little jar, and these humans and this freedom and the lakes and the rivers and the ants and the pizza and the puppies. And then she takes that jar and throws it off into space. And it lands 93 million miles from her favorite sun. So that's us over there. So did you guys, I know one of the things class talked about last week was freedom. So someone in your class says freedom is being in control of myself. Freedom is also responsibility because you're going to make choices. And the class also said last week, oh, freedom. Oh, this is so perfect to what I'm going to talk about today. Think about what might happen. Be prepared and be alert and really be safe. You did stay alert. Great. So when you guys go off to class today, I'm wondering if you can talk with each other about choices you made that led to something good happening or something maybe bad that happened. So if you've got some time in class today, you can talk about choices. And who do we have in the classroom today? Oh, Cindy. We've got Cindy. And is Jenna here? Oh, Jenna's already down there. Okay. All right. We're going to sing our kids out.
And now is our invitation to generosity. And if you're in the sanctuary, you can put some money or check or whatever in the basket. And if you're at home, or even if you're in the sanctuary, you can go to tahomauu.com, our website, and you can click on the button that says Give, which is in the upper right-hand part of the website. I think there's also one that says giving, but either of those will take you to something that says donate, and you follow the instructions there and you can give money online, something a lot of us do pretty regularly these days. We thank you very much for any support you can offer.
And now, if you would join me in the dedication of the offering. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. Okay, now we get to do the fun part. So if you would rise in body or spirit, and then we're going to divide you up, but wait for that. I'm not in charge.
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery, come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery, life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Hey, great job. That was pretty awesome for a three-part harmony, let me just say. I'm sorry, three-part round. Thank you all for being great sports. We're going to try another round next week, all right? I'm just playing. I hope not. We need a break between rounds.
I have to say, we might try that round again sometime, but we'll do it in two parts. It's a. Oh, the choir says no four. No, I actually have two readings. And what I want us to be thinking about this morning is the difference between freedom and liberation. And there is some crossover. So this first reading is literally called To the People Who Have Mistaken Freedom for Liberation by Julian Hamika Soto, who is a person of color. Queer person of color. To be free, you must embrace the breadth of your own existence without apology, even if they try to take it from you. You must know that you can do whatever you want. You are not a kudzu vine eating up entire hillsides for the purpose of feeding your own lush life. You must know instead that inside you are entire universes, milky blue, magenta, and gold, expanding. But to actually be free, you must know and you must fight for the entire universes inside everyone else. Being free is not a license, but a promise. And the second reading is by Hispanic author Teresa Gerardo, who says, free us from hindrances, make invisible things visible. Let the voiceless be heard. Lay what is hidden before us visible. Make the chained unbound, the doubting believe, and what is confusing, let clarify. As hardened hearts grow soft to the touch. May we come in fullness with gratefulness, in faithfulness. We will speak in kind conversing, dislocating our truths with care, because the world is not made of singular truths. O universe, with the stars in your hair, you have shown that great things emerge from humble beginnings, no matter how flawed or lacking. That one story in a stable, in a prison, in a cave, in destitution, if lived in all sincerity, can liberate others from darkness. When free will is deliberate, we are pivotal. When dreaming together, we are infinite. Oh, I hope that vaguely connected with the story for all ages. That was my intent. So today's sermon was originally titled The Spiritual Practice of Freedom. And that's a reasonably descriptive title for what I want to say today. But one of our UU resources says, consider the reality of freedom only through the practice of love. That same source, Soul Matters, asks us to think about living love through the practice of freedom. And they also mean liberation. And what that means this morning is we're going to consider expressing love for ourselves and freeing ourselves, but we're really going to look at this in a bigger context. A few weeks ago, it's a Friday evening before the No Kings protest day. And my son, who's 27, he was over for a few days. He was working remotely from my house and doing a lot of laundry because the washing machine in his apartment was out of order and apparently had been relocated to his living room. Meanwhile, I'm putting some essentials in my backpack for protest day. I'm doing it the night before because I hate being hurried in the morning. So I had some water bottles. I had a couple Kind bars. I had a face mask, that COVID prevention kind, although I couldn't imagine I was actually going to use it, but why not? And my small first aid kit. It had some antiseptic and some Band-Aids, and it had a little ankle bandage in there because I was trying to strengthen my ankle a little bit. My hiking boots are by the door. My minister stole is there as well. And I have some sunglasses that I wear for cycling that go all the way around the side. So I thought those would be better than my regular sunglasses. When my son looks over at me and says, "Mom, do you have a water bottle with a squirt hole in the top?" Now the kids could get this open. Hopefully I can too. So it looks a little different than a flat-topped water bottle. And I said, "No, I've got a couple water bottles. And I like to use the metal kind." He says, "Mom, you have to have one with a squirt hole in the top because it's the best way to clear tear gas out of your eyes." My son's a pretty experienced protester. And I'm thinking, what? I'm just going with the TUUC people. We're meeting in the parking lot. We're carpooling to Olympia for some really peaceful protesting. Governor Bob Ferguson told us to be peaceful because he said, do not give Donald Trump an excuse to send the National Guard into our town, like had been happening in Los Angeles. So I'm thinking all of that in my head and I'm not saying it. And then I realize it's not the other protesters he is concerned about. He is concerned about our government. So most of us in this room, I would imagine, have been to a fair amount of marches and rallies. Probably some of you for all your lives, starting when you were very small because your parents went to protests or rallies. I've been to women's marches, Black Lives Matter rallies, and never at those events have I had a concern for my safety. Because I was going to Black Lives Matter rallies in Seattle. If I had been at them in other cities, I might have had a concern for my safety. And I bet never before have most of us Googled up emergency treatment after you've been exposed to tear gas. So let me tell you a teeny bit about tear gas. It is designed to seek out and adhere to the moist surfaces of the human body and cling there. Tear gas was classified as a chemical weapon in 1993, and yet it can be used by law enforcement on civilians. So that led me quickly over to the Physicians for Human Rights, who had some advice for protesters. I want you to put up your hand if you have ever had this as part of your planning before you went to a rally or a protest. And the hands up will be smaller as we go along. Did you ever have concern about wearing eye protection, sunglasses? I would think most of us probably. Have a bottle of water with a squirt top for washing out your eyes. Okay, I've added that to my list. Bring a change of clothes because tear gas will linger on your clothing. Oh, wow. There are more people out there than I thought. Writing your emergency contact information on your skin, because you might easily be separated from your backpack or your wallet. Know what bail costs in your location and have a friend of yours already empowered to pay your bail. So I've always thought about the eye protection because things get thrown and slashed at rallies, and it's not necessarily with any intention. It's just people get excited and get careless. So on my way to TUC, I'm thinking about, oh, I got to get that pop top bottle. I'm not thinking I'm going to need to use it, but I'm like, I should have it. And if even I don't need to use it, maybe somebody else will. I did pack eye wash in my backpack because I had a thing of eye wash at home. And when I swung through here, I picked up the 15 individual portions from our first aid kit of eye wash. But we were carpooling. It was fine. We expected the No Kings protest in Olympia to be peaceful because Olympia protests are peaceful. But just having those things raised in my consciousness and just realizing that people in other locations like Los Angeles were living a different experience than us. And some of us asking, will there come a day when we'll be told it's unlawful to protest? And then I was just mad. Our First Amendment gives us the right to free speech and the right to assemble, which means protest. And nobody better interfere with those rights. Nobody. So that is freedom to protest. And protesting is part of leading us to liberation. Because it means those who go out in the street say, hey, we are noticing that something is wrong here and that people are being oppressed. I also know going to protest is different when you are the oppressed or marginalized or persecuted group. And that going to Olympia, I knew everyone who wanted to be there could not be there. I'll say a little more about that later. The opening words I read today were from activist Adrienne Marie Brown. And she says, I am learning that getting well in community, she means psychologically and physically well, we are interdependent. And when one of us attains freedom, it rekindles that longing in each of us. When we learn to feel, when we learn to stand with each other in feeling, when we learn to tune into the wisdom of our bodies, to love ourselves, to love each other, we are doing the unthinkable. We are creating new worlds of possibility. It is our duty to fight for freedom. It is our duty to win. But we must love each other and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. So will the suppression of human rights come to the point that we are fearful to protest? For me personally, I feel a long way away from that. But again, I live in a different experience here in Washington State. And I will admit my son's questions about what kind of protection and first aid supplies to deal with tear gas. My first response was just flat out denial. Don't need it. It's not going to happen. And my second response was, holy shish kebab. This does happen to people. It was certainly real in the Black Lives Matter protests in many of the cities in our nation. At the time of the No Kings rally, the National Guard troops were not stationed in Washington State. Well, I mean, they still aren't. Protesting and rallies were illegal, and it was the job of us protesters to stay the course, stand up and be counted as someone who does not agree with the actions of the current administration. That was the point in being out there, be counted, and to give other people hope that we are in allyship. I was hoping that 10 million people would turn out across the country, and millions did in small towns, in medium towns, in large cities, and there was solidarity. The first thing I did when I got home was start flipping through all the news feeds because I wanted to figure out how many million people were going to be were out there. But when I was in Olympia, I was really noticing who wasn't there. And what was really missing was brown-skinned people. And understandably, because they are worried that ICE may come and detain them. And it made it even more important for able-bodied white people to be out there. And that meant that everyone gathering together at these protests, in the words of Adrienne Marie Brown, it was our duty to be there, to do the unthinkable, to create new worlds of possibility. It wasn't just about our personal freedom and what we wanted personally. It was about this idea of liberation, which means lifting up everyone. I don't know if you caught this on NPR this week, but there was a local news story about how the Clover Park community locally normally has a Duwamish Water Days festival. It's a public festival. 40 to 50% of the people there are brown-skinned people. They canceled their gathering. This should have been a celebration, Duwamish Water Days, and they canceled it for fear of ICE infiltrating in and arresting people. And they said, that won't stop us. We will use our informal networks. We will still have gatherings. They will just be private and they will be smaller. And my first thought was, maybe for all of us who could gather, maybe we should go to the spot where Duwamish Water Days was going to be, and maybe we go with our signs and we just say, we love you. I have completely mixed up my pages. That happens. Because I rewrite the sermon up till the last minute. So that did really get me thinking about building community collaboration. It's essential to the work of changing structures and systems in society. Freedom, again, being the individual piece, and liberation is collective. So it is about lifting up all oppressed and disadvantaged people. One of the things we studied in seminary was Mujerista theology, which is the theology of Hispanic women. And the Hispanic women who wrote about this talk about there's hardship and there is struggle, but what comes to the forefront always is striving for peace and justice through uniting people with an emphasis on family and community and culture. Through faith and love, they are bound together. And I'm gonna close with a piece from Mujerista theology, followed by an ask. So this piece is called Profetiza, and it says, "Prophecy, my people, prophecy once again. May your voice be the clamor of oppressed people. Prophecy, Hispanic people, prophecy once again, announcing to the poor a new society. I consecrate all of you as a prophet, and let there be no doubt or fear as you walk through history. Be faithful to the mission. Denounce everything that causes oppression so that it can be converted and return. May this be your hope and may this be your vision. Be a builder of a new reign, a society of love. This is the hour of my grace, a sacrament. Be a sign of my covenant and be the light of a new sun." So this is my ask, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But our social justice piece for July, besides what we always do up here with trans relocation and safe parking, but our additional piece in June was for those of us who were able to go to these No Kings rallies, and a bunch of us carpooled here to Olympia, and I know other people went to the local one in Tacoma. And Gig Harbor, right? Gig Harbor had like, yeah. Oh, yell it out. Puyallup, Seattle. Yeah. So we were all over the place. So here is our next opportunity in July is the annual Pride celebration. And there's this, I don't know who the author of this is, but there's this, it goes around a lot, this little quote. Is Pride a celebration or a protest? And the answer is yes. So I would hope that all of us who can will get out to Tacoma's Pride celebration on, tell me if I haven't got this right, July 12th at Rios Park, which is, say it again. Wright Park. Thank you. We have a table there. We will have our TUUC banner up there. We will be giving out bling. We will be welcoming to people. And so you can still take a shift. I think Michael, you can still email Michael, his email's in the e-news. And if you can't take an hour or two out of the day, but to staff the table, just come and swing by and say hi. So I hope we can do that. It's the second Saturday, which is July 12th. Yeah. So I'm just going to say amen, and I hope we can continue this conversation about what makes liberation different than our personal freedom. So we will now join in our closing hymn. And I was going to have us use the word protest, but I think we've already asked too many things of you. I was going to make new words for this, but let's not.
Do what the Spirit says do. Gotta do what the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do. I did want to say one thing real quick. This week I met with Dr. Reverend Gale. She is a reverend at the Allen A&E Church that is predominantly African American in the Hilltop. And her and I are going to be working on many things within the community together. She's also helping me continue my education. But Reverend Margo and I are in the social justice group that meets, and one of the topics we discussed was community engagement with other churches in the area that are from different faiths, so interfaith and engagement. So if you'd like to, this is an open invite to come talk to me after congregation today. And if you'd like to join me on a Sunday to go to their church, I'd love to have a group of us go. And thank you, Francis, for the idea. So please come and talk to me if you'd like to join me in that. Also, power to the people.
Our closing words are from Thomas Merton. There is something in the very nature of my freedom that inclines me to love, to do good, and to dedicate myself to others. I have an instinct that tells me I am less free when I am living for myself alone. The reason for this is that I cannot be completely independent. I'm not self-sufficient. I depend on someone else for my fulfillment. My freedom is not fully free when just left to itself. It becomes so when it is brought into right relationship with the freedom of another.
At this time, will you join me in the extinguishing of the chalice words? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And if you could rise in body or spirit and join in our closing blessing song.